Hola, hoy vamos a continuar a visitar la población latino en Estados Unidos. Fuimos a ciudades como Nueva York, Miami, San Antonio y Los Ángeles, pero hoy nos quedamos en Spartanburg porque sí existe una población latina grande en Spartanburg, en esta ciudad. Pues hay 18,000 latinos en Spartanburg County, pero ¿dónde se encuentran? Si ustedes visitan este sitio de web, pueden explorar un poquito. Por ejemplo, yo lo tengo aquí. Aquí yo voy a enseñar aquí, esto es East Main Street. Esto es Converse College, right? Y estamos viendo por la naranja que está aquí. Vemos mucho en Asheville Highway, en este lugar que se encuentra aquí. Y de hecho, si ustedes van, if you guys go up there, you'll notice a lot of Latino grocery stores and things like that. Some other things we have in our community. We have the Upstate Hispanic Alliance, que ustedes pueden visitar si quieren. También tenemos the South Carolina Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, la única que se encuentra en Asheville Highway, y el Rey también en Asheville Highway, como vimos en el mapa, ¿no? Que hay mucha población, mucha concentración en Asheville Highway. Pues quiero que ustedes vayan a la página 73 para hacer la lectura La familia hispana y ustedes van a responder a estas preguntas verdad o falso. So put the video on pause, read, answer true or false, and then we'll come back. Muy bien, número 1. No hay mucho cariño en familias hispanas. Falso, obviamente. Número 2. Es común tener muchos hijos. Verdad. Although this is changing, birth rate amongst Latinos has fallen a lot, especially in the last 20 years. Número 3. Los abuelos no son importantes en la crianza de los niños. Falso. Many times grandparents are very actively involved in raising grandkids in Latino families. 4. Los hijos solteros dejan la casa tan pronto como posible. Falso. 5. Las familias hispanas hoy son más grandes que nunca. Falso también. As you well know, people have a tendency to have fewer and fewer kids over the last few decades, and Latinos are not immune to that trend. Their family sizes are decreasing as well. Y último, mujeres latinas cada vez más trabajan fuera de casa. Verdad. Esto es verdad. Bien, seguimos. ¿Cómo es su familia? Mi familia es muy grande. ¿Tu familia es grande? So what we have here in red are called possessive pronouns. Y así van en español, and you'll find these on page 74 of your textbook. Primero tenemos mi, tú, su, nuestro, vuestro y su. Y hay que tener cuidado porque hay formas plurales también. Mis, tus, sus, nuestros o nuestras, vuestros o vuestras y sus. Now, for some reason, students in my past classes have had a tough time wrapping their head around the possessive pronouns. So we're going to explore a little bit more, and I'm going to explain to you exactly how they work, just to make sure that we don't have the same confusion. So for example, here we have a sentence, Nuestro tío es alto. So our uncle is tall. The subject of the sentence is tío. Everything revolves around tío, right? So nuestro tío, nuestro has to match up with tío. So if it had been if it had been tía, it would be nuestra tía. And then tío also affects the adjective at the end, which is alto. So here we have below nuestras tías. So we look at the subject, the thing, which is tías, and that determines everything else in the sentence. Nuestras tías son guapas, right? This is called concordancia, agreement. And we look at the subject of the sentence, which is tío or tía, so we make sure everything else agrees with it. Now, the nuestras is determined by who is doing the owning, right? They're my aunts, so it's nuestro, right? But whether I'm male or female, that doesn't matter. It matters what is being owned will determine the rest of the sentence. So we're going to go, and we're also going to take a look at possession with the word de. Esto es, en inglés, Rosa's family. And you guys remember this from the very beginning of the chapter. La familia de Rosa. The apostrophe S does not exist in Spanish. So I see a lot in composition, Rosa's familia, which is not a thing. So always think in Spanish, instead of doing the apostrophe S, try to speak backwards. And instead of saying Rosa's family, you're going backwards. You're saying the family of Rosa, right? So the apostrophe S does not exist. So keep in your mind that de. So vamos a hacer práctica en el libro, primeramente en 3.12 en la página 75. Ustedes van a ver in 3.12, you're going to match the first column up with the second column. And I'm going to bring this up in the textbook here, although you'll be better off looking at it in your own textbook because we have the first part here and you're matching it with the second part here. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes, put the video on pause to go through this, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, muy bien. Número 1. Esta foto es de mis queridos. This should go with abuelos maternos, right? Your queridos are your loved ones. Número 2. Mi mamá y sus... So we have sus, so we know whatever we're looking at has to be plural, right? So that eliminates coche, casa, not gatitas, coche, casa, novio. So we have gatitas and hermanas. So my mom and her kittens, sure, maybe your mom's a cat lady, that's great. But probably mi mamá y sus hermanas. Número 3. Esta es nuestra. So we have nuestra, so we know whatever the thing is has to be singular and it has to be feminine, right? So that eliminates coche, that eliminates abuelos, that eliminates gatitas, and that eliminates hermanas y novio. So it's got to be casa, because casa is feminine and singular. Número 4. Y este es nuestro. So nuestro, it has to be masculine, it has to be singular, right? So it can't be casa, it can't be abuelos, it can't be gatitas, and it can't be hermanas, right? It has to be coche o novio. The book says it is coche, although novio could work as well here. Número 5. Aquí está mi hermana con su. So we have su. So this isn't going to tell us if it's masculine or feminine because su doesn't have a masculine or feminine form. But we know it is going to be singular and we're not left with many options. So it's either going to be coche or novio, right? And the book says novio could be coche as well. Número 6. Las princesas de la casa, nuestras. So nuestras, it has to be feminine and plural. And all we have left is gatitas y hermanas. All we really have left is gatitas, right? The princesses of the house are our cats. Muy bien. Vamos a continuar con 3.13. Esto es más difícil. Mucho, mucho, mucho más difícil. So imagine that Julia is showing you some pictures on the phone, and she is describing who they are. So I want you guys to take a second and figure this out. Put the video on pause. Remember, this is from Julia's perspective, right? To give you a hint, in the first one, este es blank esposo se llama Andrés. This is my spouse se llama Andrés, right? Esto es mi esposo se llama Andrés. So put the video on pause and then we'll go through it. Muy bien. Esto es mi esposo se llama Andrés. Esta foto es del día de boda means wedding. Nuestra boda. Aquí estamos con nuestros padres. So the book says nuestros, our parents, but this could also be mis padres or sus padres. So our parents, my parents, or his parents. Mi hermano y mi cuñada no están en esta foto. So my brother and my sister-in-law are not in this photo. The key here is cuñada, right? So if it's a sister-in-law and they're married to a brother, well, the brother has to be my brother in order for her to be my sister-in-law. So mi hermano y mi cuñada no están en esta foto, pero así están aquí. We already know it's her brother, so it's going to be mi hermano Antonio y su esposa Elisa, his wife Elisa. So here we have sus hijos, his kids, or not his kids, their kids, their children. Ricardo y Tere son muy buenos amigos de. So his kids are very good friends with. Whose kids, right? Well, we only know about Andrés and Julia, right? So they're probably our kids because she's speaking from her perspective. Son muy buenos amigos de nuestros hijos mayores. Pero Clara, la bebé, prefiere a sus abuelos. So Clara prefers her grandparents. Porque siempre la miman. Y, whose family? Well, let's look over here, right? Tienes fotos. So tener, this is the form of you, right? Or your. So do you have pictures of, so this must be tú, because she's speaking to you. Y tu familia, tienes fotos de tus parientes en tu teléfono. So I want you guys to go ahead and do 3:10 and 3:11 in your workbook. These are on the possessive pronouns, and this will help clarify things, I hope, for you. Like I said earlier, this is always a little bit tricky for Spanish students. So I'm going to link a video here with another explanation that may help you out. Sometimes it's good to have a second opinion. And that's it for today. Hasta mañana.